We understand the virus more than where we are 10 months ago.
COVID-19 spike. President Buhari meets Governor Sanwo-Olu.
Government is able to touch the lives of our fellow citizens with special needs.
A woman that has never seen 5,000 of her own, today she will receive 20,000 naira.
Your work is essential to lifting 100 millions out of poverty, Buhari tells Disability Commission, just as more beneficiaries receive federal government support. And biggest democracy in the eyes of the world for abuse of tenets. Good evening. This is Network News Live on the NTA. I am Joseph Johnson. Jennifer Igwe joins me from Lagos, while Zinret in Jos will be with us a little later. President Muhammadu Buhari has formally engaged Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State as the second wave of COVID-19 bites harder in the Center of Excellence. Their discussions, amongst others, also centered on efforts at rebuilding Lagos State after the mayhem and destruction of property that came in the wake of the last NSAS protests in parts of the country. State House correspondent Adam Musambo has details.
This is the second time in 2 months President Muhammadu Buhari will be engaging Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu on COVID-19 and the NSAS protest, both of which started from Lagos State. On COVID-19, for instance, now in its second wave, Lagos remains the epicenter, recording in just the last 2 days nearly 1,500 confirmed cases of the global pandemic, a situation the governor described as worrisome.
On COVID, it's actually a very serious case. You know, we've all said it, we're the second wave, and incidentally, the second wave seemed to be a lot more infectious than the first one. And we're seeing positive rates of about 25, sometimes 30%. You know, so that is actually very disturbing. And we've seen, unfortunately, the amount of fatality, you know, around the country, even in Lagos. And so one of the things that we've realized that a lot more people require, you know, oxygen, you know, attention. They need breathing, additional oxygen breathing. So we have started building what we call oxygen tents, you know, oxygen facilities. We're building about 10 of such facilities. I think we've commissioned about 4 or 5, you know, of them. And we're also building proper oxygen plants, additional to oxygen plants in the state, so that we can meet, you know, the respiratory requirements. We understand the virus more than where we are 10 months ago or 8 months ago. So we know what the treatment should be.
On his efforts at rebuilding Lagos State after the devastation suffered in the wake of the NSAS protests, the governor said already owners of small businesses affected have started receiving grants and soft loans to enable them come back together as soon as possible, while proper study is underway on devastated infrastructure and transportation facilities for necessary action. Discussions also centered on collaborative efforts Lagos State can enjoy with the federal government as regards the various economic opportunities that abound in the state.
Like you all know, Lagos is the commercial nerve center of the country, and so we need to, very early in the year, start up on economic programs and in activities that can improve not only our foreign direct investment, but also make Lagos, you know, an investor destination in the country. So there are a few things that are brought to his notice, a few projects that are brought to his notice, and how we can collaborate, you know, with the federal government, and also a few future projects projects that we're praying that he comes around, and help us commissioning. He took very detailed notes. I was actually very, very, very happy. He took very detailed note and has given assurances that some of the points I've put up with him, I will be seeing some call-up or some follow-up either through the Chief of Staff or through some of the agencies of the federal government.
Governor Sanwo-Olu said the security situation in Lagos State was also analyzed and the best way forward charted towards making the nation's commercial nerve center a lot more business-friendly. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And a COVID-19 survivor says the level of communication and clear understanding of the impact of the coronavirus pandemic within the people would play a key role to stem down the second wave of the pandemic as being experienced now in the country. Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State, who a few weeks ago survived the attack, says the people, especially at the grassroots, should be well enlightened on the need to observe the non-medical protocol against the virus.
It's more dangerous than what we saw before. In my state, I've lost almost 5 people now. VIPs, that is VIPs for you. Talk less of even the ordinary person that is there. So in terms of approach, we need to be very, very vigilant because the states, we've said it several times, although it is difficult to talk about locking down states now. It's difficult to talk about locking down states, but the way and manner people are going, I don't see that maybe at the end of the day people may be talking about that. Because when you start talking about losing 5 people within 2 weeks, and then tomorrow you're talking about, like yesterday, I saw it, my state, 160, definitely there must be an approach towards enforcement.
The governor, who spoke to the press after a visit to the vice president, said state governors are working in collaboration with the federal government to put an end to banditry and kidnappings in some parts of the country. Meanwhile, there is an alarming increase in COVID-19 infections among young Nigerians. PTF Chairman Bols Mustafa at the national briefing in Abuja says the increase in case of fatality rate and community spread should compel Nigerians to adhere to safety protocols. Mitaire Ikben reports.
Nigeria's COVID-19 test positivity rate is now almost 10% and case fatality rate has increased to 3%. The PTF is worried with the trend but insists on adherence to all non-pharmaceutical guidelines.
If we continue in the manner in which we are behaving as a people and as a nation, these figures would keep rising.
Our data is showing the majority of the cases recorded are between the ages of 21 to 50, and this poses a lot of risk to the elderly.
Despite crossing the 1 million mark for testing, the PTF says there's more work to be done.
We're still grossly under-testing, and this is reflected, of course, in the number of persons we are getting going into the hospitals versus what we actually have on the ground. I think there's a lot of transmission going on in the communities.
Top government officials will lead the advocacy for COVID-19 vaccination.
I would like to see a situation where Mr. President, the Vice President, the SGF, critical leaders come and take the vaccine in the full glare of the public to demonstrate that this vaccine is safe.
As COVID-19 cases get critical nationwide, the federal government has made provision for 10-bed intensive care units to be established across the 36 states and the FCT. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
In other news, President Muhammadu Buhari has described as promise fulfilled the formal takeoff of the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities aimed at protecting the rights and dignity of people with special needs in the country. Granting audience to the chairman and members of the commission, the president promised that under his watch, government will continue to give effect to all treaties that seek to improve the lives of disadvantaged Nigerians. State House correspondent again, Adamu Samba reports.
The chairman and members of the National Disability Commission were led to the State House by the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk.
A patriotic and responsible leadership is that which focuses on a more dignified way of improving the lives of the less privileged. Accordingly, Your Excellency, your administration shall remain indelible in the hearts of persons with disabilities.
This sense of belonging being enjoyed by persons with disabilities in Nigeria is a pre-election promise delivered by President Muhammadu Buhari. The minister is, however, worried that over 95% of the nation's public buildings are not accessible to persons with disabilities.
There's also a high need for proactive measures to curtail the negative attitude towards persons with disabilities by creating mass awareness, eliminating discriminations in all forms, and improving their livelihood.
President Muhammadu Buhari said with Nigeria as a signatory and state party to the relevant United Nations Convention, nothing will be left to chance towards promoting the inclusion of persons with special needs in all development efforts.
The government is not unaware of the huge population of persons with special needs in Nigeria, estimated at over 25 million. The task before you is enormous. You must work diligently towards ensuring that government is able to touch the lives of our fellow citizens with special needs despite our limited resources.
While commending the governors of Lagos, Plateau and Nasarawa states for not only enacting disability laws but also establishing Disability Rights Commission in their states, the president insists that states yet to do so should take necessary action to enable government efforts have the desired impact at subnational levels.
Let me conclude by enjoining you as a team of the Commission to realize that your work forms a critical aspect in achieving the objective of our administration to removing 100 million Nigerians out of poverty. I am therefore looking forward to commissioning projects and programs of high impact to the disabled community in line with this vision.
The 8-member National Commission for Persons with Disabilities has Hussaini Hassan Kangiwa as chairman and James David Lalu as executive secretary. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Hospitals across the country have continued to benefit from increased oxygen supply from the Nigerian Air Force as a critical requirement for the treatment of COVID-19 patients. Defense correspondent Najat Tijani reports that a consignment has been delivered to the University Teaching Hospital, Gwagwalada.
Offloading the precious cargo from the NAF 917 aircraft, officials from the University Teaching Hospital Gwagwalada say they are eager to return to patients in critical care. Now that the country is in the grip of the second wave of the infection, there is increased demand for the gas.
Since we've been receiving this oxygen, it has helped a lot in keeping so many patients alive. And because of the pressure and the influx of these COVID patients in the center, before we were like 65% operating, but now with the support of the Nigerian Air Force, we have almost reached the optimal level of 100%.
With a capacity of producing 1,000 liters of liquid oxygen every 8 hours, the Nigerian Air Force says the amount is in excess of its air and medical requirements.
Oxygen is paramount in the management. So we realize many hospitals are battling with oxygen. So the Chief of the Air Staff decided to support hospitals with free oxygen.
And with countries like the UK celebrating the testing of a vaccine, it is yet to reach the shores of Africa. And that is why the distribution of these oxygen cylinders is a critical step in managing the disease. In addition to airlift missions, the Chief of the Air Staff says the Nigerian Air Force will sustain the free provision of liquid oxygen as part of boosting civil-military relations and supporting federal government efforts at combating the pandemic. Najat Tijani, NTA News.
Former White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney says he is quitting his diplomatic position, adding to the growing list of resignations from the Trump administration following Wednesday's deadly invasion of the U.S. Capitol building by supporters of President Donald Trump. This came as House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says President Donald Trump should immediately be removed from office or Congress may proceed to impeach him. Over now to Joyce Umechu, who monitored the event for us.
Proceedings resumed at about 8 p.m. with Vice President Mike Pence bringing the Senate session back into order after a chaotic day of protests and violence which earlier halted the joint session of U.S. Congress for several hours. Despite the events, the U.S. Congress affirmed Joe Biden as the next president of the United States after the certified 270 Electoral College votes.
Joseph R. Biden Jr. of the state of Delaware has received 306 votes. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 232 votes.
Following these events, Donald Trump has committed to a peaceful transition of power. Mr. Trump announced he totally disagreed with the outcome of the election, but confirmed that there will be an ordinary transition on January 20th, 2021. Meanwhile, Facebook and Instagram have blocked President Trump's account until after peaceful transition of power. In the meantime, Americans and some world leaders have reacted to the demonstrations which claimed the lives of 4 people and led to a 6 p.m. citywide curfew in the capital. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson condemned the attack, saying the United States stands for democracy around the world and it is now vital that there should be a peaceful and orderly transfer of power. Former President Barack Obama declared that violence was incited by a sitting president and says Capitol riots will be remembered as a moment of shame for the nation. In France, Emmanuel Macron has also condemned the attacks, saying what happened is not America. From New Zealand, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern tweeted that democracy should never be undone by a mob. Police said 2 pipe bombs were found near the Democrat and Republican Party headquarters and firearms recovered, while about 52 people have so far been arrested. People describe the event as a dark day for American democracy. Joyce Umechu, NTA News.
All right, let's bring in our guest, Paul Ejime, live via Zoom from Washington. He is an international affairs analyst. You're welcome to NTA Network News.
Thank you, Joseph. Good evening. Actually, I'm in the UK, not Washington.
Okay, thank you very much. First off, let's just have your take on the political turmoil that followed the U.S. election. Has it happened before, and why now?
Well, if anything happened before, not to the magnitude that was seen yesterday. You have seen world leaders and even Americans themselves. They are in shock. It's been described in various ways. Somebody called it an insurrection. They say it's a chaos. Others say it's a coup if it happened in developing countries. And shameful acts and all kinds of, negative to be one of the oldest democracy. So, but really, there is, you can expect anything from a Donald Trump presidency since 2016. It is just how far. It's not a new jump because he has been moving the bar, of infamy very high, and I don't know whether there will be any match as we go on. But what has happened is America now faces like a building. The world looked up to America as the beacon. As an example, in some cases, the policeman of the world. But look at what is happening. The invasion of the hallowed chamber, the concrete of wonder. Some people were watching and saying, well, can this be America? But But it also says a lot about the fact that it is not really about the system of government, but the people who are operating it. We have a institutions, but you can have strong institutions and then you have characters that claim to be stronger than institutions. And that is why the kind of character we have, with, the world has seen in Donald Trump. And so the perfect world that many claim, it claims to be. And so it has now to go back to the drawing board.
Okay, all right. So,
a very bad example.
Sorry if I may come in. We seem to be having a poor audio quality from your end, but let's see if we can quickly just take a few more questions, because President Trump is seen to have played a bad role in the whole saga leading to the blockage of his Twitter, Facebook and other social media accounts. How has his position contributed to the invasion of Capitol on Wednesday and other undemocratic acts?
Well, it didn't start today. For him choosing the day that they were supposed to start, the Congress was supposed to certify the votes for somebody that defeated him in an election. He hasn't that day to hold a rally. And after the rally, the statement was so inciting, and he told them, march to Congress, march. And Congress wasn't very far from the White House. And they did that, saved him. And that is what you want to see about America, that in spite of the way he has conducted himself, he still has some 74 million people voting for him. And that is about leadership. That what a leader says, it comes with responsibility. You really have to mind what you say as a leader, because people are watching. You have to be a role model for, exemplary conduct. Not conduct that almost 200 years backwards from what the whole world is watching. So it's not a good example at all. And the world is what. The other thing that I thought should happen is that perhaps America should be looking at a session that allows an incoming president to come about a month or two after the election. The election is in November, and then he comes in January. Whether that cannot be shortened. Look at Ghana. Ghana 7th, and now today the man that the Electoral Commission declared winner is sitting President Nana Akufo-Addo has been sworn in. So by the time you shorten that, perhaps that can curtail on the damage, serious damage to
all right. Finally, talking about role model, with what transpired in the Capitol, would you say the U.S. handled it better than Nigeria's handling of the NSAS protest, which was acclaimed in some quarters as not respecting human rights?
Well, Joseph, you are dragging me into a very difficult territory, but I will navigate it. These are two environments. The environments are different. The kind of problem will be asked. Well, during SARS and NSARS, there were deaths, and during this one, there were also deaths, 4 deaths. But the question will be, why did the American security system, how did they handle protesters? Free movement into the chambers, to the point some of them were climbing, some were removing the country's flag and putting Trump's flag, sitting, martial officers of good houses. So there is really, there are differences there. And a country, all countries must learn how to manage crisis, crowd control, is something that every country will match oranges and apples. So you don't want me to mix the two of them together.
Exactly. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. You've done enough already. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, international affairs analyst Paul Ejime. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph, and compliments of the season. Happy New Year to all.
Same to you, sir. All right, let's take you to other stories now, because staff union of the National Identity Management Commission have embarked on sitting strike to demand for the provision of COVID-19 personal protective equipment and salary increase. Let's bring you that story now.
An unsettled crowd once again gather at the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC. But this time, it isn't about the rush for enrollment, as witnessed days ago, but the staff union protesting for a better welfare.
If you want us to work, protect me. Give me what will, even though I die, let me die and leave something for my family. Not when I die, I will leave my wife and the poor kids in debt. God forbid. I am not ready again because of less than 50,000 to put thousands of staff at risk.
The Director General, NIMC Aliyu Aziz, who had met with the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Isa Ali Pantami, earlier, told NTA News that the situation will be addressed.
We understood that the grievance is mainly to do with salary, and we have been on this for a very long time. And the moment we have been moved to the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, then Dr. Pantami approved what we've been waiting for about 10 years ago. So what I believe that I heard them say is that the budget came out and they did not analyze it, and they have not seen the increase in the budget. The management team and also the union have been in discussion, and we are assured that by tomorrow we should go back to normal work.
It is the hope of many that this development will not delay the enrollment process for the linking of NIN with SIM cards. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
Let's just take some messages now. Stay with us for more.
Are you ready for this?
Let me hear you, AJ.
Ready for this?
Give me some bass.
That good for you?
Nice, AJ. Bring it out. Double it.
I was born hungry for success. It's the Nigerian way.
Glow gets it. Champions stay hungry.
Oh yeah, Glow gets it big time. One more for sure.
Champions go the distance and then go further.
Glow, the heart of a champion.
For pension fund administrator, we soft, make sense, we care for me. Shy, no be the time when story go enter the matter when it's time to deliver. No. The brand is sure them no go stress you. Call them then they accessible. Customer care where they on point. No go regret when you try, of course. Profitable investment, everything is just a blend. If you know what's good for you, my guy, make you choose premium pension today. Make that switch to premium pension. Premium pension. Make that switch to premium pension. Premium pension.
Join over 700,000 satisfied members and enjoy the premium experience at our offices across the 36 states in Nigeria, including the FCT. Call 094615-700-704 to make the switch today. Premium pension. Active today, premium tomorrow.
Dear customer, link your Airtel number to your national identification number today. Here are easy ways you can do it. Dial *121*1# on your Airtel line and follow the prompts on the screen. Type in your 11-digit government-approved NIN number. You will receive a confirmation message to confirm your entry. You can also visit www.airtel.com.ng/NIN to link your phone number to your NIN. If you do not know your NIN, simply dial *346# to get it. No stress, no wahala.
Airtel, the smartphone network. Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
You're watching NTA Network News with me, Joseph Johnson. In order to promote constructive conclusion of dialogue between the federal government and the organized labor over electricity tariff, federal government has directed Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission to reverse the recent adjustment in electricity tariff until the end of January 2021. In a statement, Minister of Power Salim Aman says that the decision is to allow for the outcome of the resolutions from the federal government Labour Ad Hoc Committee to be implemented together. Federal government says it is committed to creating a sustainable, growing and rules-based electricity market for the benefit of all Nigerians. A total of 2,600 women in Nasarawa State have become the latest beneficiaries of the 20,000 naira cash support by the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. Joshua Kibu reports.
The beneficiaries are from Lafia, Nasarawa, Wamba, Akwanga and Kokona local government areas of Nasarawa State. Minister for State Science and Technology Mohammed Abdullahi, who conducted the ceremony, says the cash grant is to enhance the welfare of the poor and vulnerable households.
A total of 2,600 beneficiaries are to benefit from the cash grant of 20,000 naira each in Nasarawa State to uplift socio-economic status of the rural woman.
He notes that Nasarawa State has so far received more than 3 billion naira support from federal government to assist rural women enterprises. Nasarawa State government says government will sustain women empowerment through entrepreneurship development and training. The cash grant disbursement is a component of the federal government social investment program to empower the vulnerable groups in the country. In Lafia, Joshua Kibu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, more than 30,000 farmers in 20 local government areas affected by flooding in 2020 farming season in Jigawa State are beginning to receive farm inputs for the irrigation farming. The distribution of the inputs was flagged off in Malam Maduri local government area. Muhammad Musa Askira reports.
The farm inputs, which include liquid fertilizer, seeds, sprayers and other agrochemicals, are being disbursed to the farmers by the Jigawa State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA. The items were left over from the 2018 palliative donated to the state by the federal government for the victims of flood disaster in that year.
It is an indication that the federal government and the state are very much interested in agriculture.
More than 3,000 farmers in Malamaduri local government, the venue for the inauguration, will receive the farm inputs for the dry season farming in the area. These, according to the distributors, is the beginning of more agricultural palliatives to come the way of the victims of the flood disaster in the state. Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
In the meantime, 600 units of two-bedroom houses are to be constructed at Amarawa village of Konduga local government area of Borno State by the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons. Mohammed Goni reports.
The Recovery and Peace Building Assessment Report
jointly produced by the World Bank, EU and the federal government, as well as governments of the Northeast states, put the total number of destruction of residential houses at 400,000, but the unofficial figure is higher than 900,000.
Federal level lero tedanya askar yana state level lero chairman gwamnati da kan da creation me ngero wahala da kro da gozuna ande shira goden yana.
Professor Bagana Umar, who appreciated the Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, as well as the federal government for their continued support to the state, especially in the area of housing, said 3,000 units out of the 10,000 houses approved by the federal government are at advanced stages of completion, while the remaining houses will be built as soon as funds are released.
Reconstruction, rehabilitation and resettlement is one of the very important agenda of this administration.
The city, which is similar to what we have in Katsina, Zamfara and Edo State, is designed to have 600 housing units of 2 bedrooms with a bathroom, kitchen and a courtyard that can be converted to a 3rd bedroom depending on the size of the family.
Senator Bashir Mohammed noted the devastation caused by the insurgency, including destruction of thousands of houses across the state, with attendant mass displacement and dislocation of civil authorities and other basic amenities of life. Meanwhile, the Federal Commissioner for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, in company of Governor Zulum, distributed food and non-food items to 400 households in Kawuri village, a newly resettled community in Kandaga local government area. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
Let's now turn to Lagos, and here is Jennifer with other stories. Jennifer.
Thank you, Joseph. Now on the economy. Nigeria's 2020 revised budget of 10.8 trillion naira recorded over 97% performance, with the realization of some key assumptions responsible for an economic rebound in the face of COVID-19 pandemic. Director General Budget Office Ben Akabueze says measures introduced to implement 2020 budget will be adopted in the 2021 fiscal year.
While countries of the world were preparing their financial spending outlook for 2020 fiscal year, none provided a space to accommodate a novel virus. In the wake of the global pandemic, economies had to adjust their spendings to meet up with the current realities. Nigeria's government had to adjust key parameters projected to drive revenue in order to reflect current global macroeconomic demands.
2020, we ended up with an 89% performance on that side as well, on the capital side, so giving an overall average performance of about 97%.
While oil production was equally revised downwards to 1.8 million barrels per day from 2.18 million barrels, the exchange rate was not spared, as it went up to 316 naira to $1, as against 305 naira projected for in 2020 estimates. While all this lasted, the budget was still on the path of growth and infrastructural development.
Investors are happy to see that the fundamentals are being rebuilt and that the trajectory of several key indices are all moving upwards. So we're making progress.
Although the overall fiscal revenue for 2020 was estimated at 5.8 trillion naira in the revised budget from 8.42 trillion naira, reflecting a drop of 31%.
For the first time after a very long time, the budget was signed into law on 31st December. So we have 12 months before us now to implement the 13.5 trillion budget. But we are talking about earnings of between 7 and 8 trillion.
While the capital expenditure segment of the 2020 budget suffered a bit of setback caused by the low revenue growth as a result of the pandemic, stakeholders have expressed optimism for a better economic recovery with the policies of government aimed at stimulating growth and the implementation of the 2021 budget. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Now, the ravaging effects of COVID-19 have led to tough times across the world. This has, however, made information and communication technology platforms more viable as a means of resolving challenges caused by the pandemic and responses to the new reality. Adeola Komiakere examines the gains of the ICT sector.
The world has never been more interconnected since the outbreak of a pandemic. The internet, television, mobile phones, computer-based devices, and other new forms of interactions are changing at a rapid pace with potentially profound but subtle influences on social life, yet pose challenges which have to be managed.
A lot of businesses, a lot of people have finally seen the need to have an online presence, to have a digital presence, or to have working computers in the facilities because they have seen how powerful it has been for the survival of the COVID era.
Information and communications technology stresses the role of unified communications and the integration of telecommunication that enabled users access, store, transmit, and manipulate information.
It can be used for video conferencing, classrooms. It can be used to create employment.
With the outbreak of the coronavirus, the experts say the ICT sector has gained prominence.
There is no facet of life that is not applying technology to its function.
How then can the ICT sector help develop the society?
With a proper set of ICT system in any society or any organization, it's easy to track, it's easy to scale and increase your operations.
Among other gains, the sector has brought nations and people closer while enabling economies to function in spite of barriers. The sector experts say created opportunities for medical practitioners to practice telemedicine with vendors of various commodities making bricks business in the delivery of goods and services, as well as aiding social distancing through online transactions. In Lagos, Adeola Komiakere, NTA News.
Time for a break now. The news will continue shortly with Joseph Johnson in Abuja. Stay tuned.
Dear customer, link your Airtel number to your national identification number today. Here are easy ways you can do it. Dial *121*1# on your Airtel line and follow the prompts on the screen. Type in your 11-digit government-approved NIN number. You will receive a confirmation message to confirm your entry. You can also visit www.airtel.com.ng/NIN to link your phone number to your NIN. If you do not know your NIN, simply dial *346# to get it. No stress, no wahala.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
For over 70 years, we've protected our homes against germs together. And now is no different. So let's disinfect and protect our floors and surfaces every day. Dettol. Protect what's worth fighting for.
You're still watching NTA Network News, and we are back in Abuja. To security matters now, troops of the recently launched Operation Tura Taika Ibango have eliminated 12 Boko Haram terrorists and their cell locations in the northeast. The Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, represented by the Chief of Operation and Training Major General Nuhu Ambazo, announced this at a news conference at 27 Tactical Brigade Headquarters in Bunigari, Yobe State. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has more.
Some of the newly acquired platforms being deployed by troops of Operation Turata Kebango, an aggressive subsidiary operation under Operation Lafia Dole, launched on the 3rd January 2021 by the Nigerian Army. The decade-long Operation Lafia Dole succeeded in liberating towns and communities, open up roads and routes in the northeast, paving way for resettlement and reconstruction. But the recent increase in terrorist activities on the Maiduguri-Damaturu and Damaturu roads and other soft targets in the zone necessitated the launching of Operation Turata Kebango, a code name for the Nigerian Army Counter-insurgency operation, focused at tracing and destroying the Boko Haram and their camp in the zone.
The operation is meant to be theater-wide, targeting known insurgent enclaves and hideouts in a very aggressive and offensive manner for total neutralization and clearance.
5 days into the operation, details from the Nigerian Army indicates 12 Boko Haram members smoked out from their hideouts and eliminated, while several heavy arms captured from the criminals and others destroyed.
The Army appealed to people living within the general area of Operation Turata Kebango not to panic due to the intensity of the ongoing operation and report fleeing terrorists to security agencies. From Bunigari in Yobe State, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
And the Nigerian Air Force says it will establish another forward operating base in Funtua local government area of Katsina State to strengthen air support in the fight against banditry in the northwest of the country. Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, disclosed this while inspecting the site for the project, saying this makes it 2 of such operation base in Katsina State. Mohammed Salisu Abwal reports.
Forward operating base in Funtua, which is expected to commence operations soon, will be under the Special Operations Command Bauchi. The Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, said the new operating base will be fully equipped to complement the fight against banditry and other forms of criminality in the country. The Chief of the Air Staff reiterated the continuous commitment of the Nigerian Air Force towards ending security challenges in some part of the country, and commended the support and cooperation of Katsina State government for providing the over 18 hectares of land for the takeoff of the base. When fully operational, the forward operating base in Goro village is expected to provide air support to ground security operatives in the frontline areas. District Head of Funtua and Sarkin Maskan Katsina, Sambo Idris Sambo, commended the effort of the security operatives in the fight against banditry in the country. In Katsina, Muhammad Salisu Awal, NTA News.
Meanwhile, a 2-day retreat for senior management team of the Nigeria Police Force to keep them abreast of new strategies for crime control and ensuring law and order has begun in Abuja. Here is Frank's Inform with the report.
This quarter guard parade ushered in the Inspector General of Police into the National Institute for Police Studies, venue for a retreat for senior police officers. Seated in this hall are mostly the newly promoted officers who need to understand the responsibilities of their positions and manage their directorates to achieve the desired results.
We will be strategizing, learning principles, creating systems so that we can be achievers.
Inspector General of Police Mohammed Adamu was quick to remind the senior managers that every directorate will have a key performance indicator assessment base.
Time has come that nobody will occupy an important position and stay there for a period of time without achieving anything. every individual in the service of Nigerian police must be able to perform his or her duty in line with the strategic plan of the organization.
The IGP wants the police senior managers to bring their experience and professionalism to bear to fast-track the ongoing reforms to reposition the force. In Abuja, Francis Form, NTA News.
The Federal Road Safety Corps says 10,522 road traffic crashes were recorded nationwide in 2020, involving 17,614 vehicles. In a statement, the Corps Public Education Officer, Assistant Corps Marshal Bisi Kazim, disclosed this in Abuja. He further explained that said 4,794 persons died and 28,449 persons got various degrees of injury and 29,808 more survived. Even with these figures, he said there was a decrease in the total number of people killed by road traffic crashes in 2020 when compared to 2019. He added that in 2019, the Corps recorded 4,878 deaths as against 4,794 deaths in 2020, representing a decrease of 84, which was 1.75% decrease. The FRSC, however, warned that those violating road traffic laws indiscriminately would definitely be penalized, as the operatives are more than ever prepared to deploy forces in order to ensure compliance. Let's now join Zinret in Jos for more stories. Zinret, it's over to you.
Thank you, Joseph, for joining us in Jos. Plateau State government has resolved to prosecute violators of COVID-19 safety protocols. State coordinator of the task force and secretary to the government of the state, Professor Danladi Atu, says government's decision follows rampant cases of infection. Silvan's Float has details.
In December 2020, a new variant of the COVID-19 from the United Kingdom found entry into Nigeria, a situation health experts say is severe. It is in this regard that the COVID-19 task force is devising new ways to enlighten the public on how real the virus is, tackle agents of unbelief and enforce compliance. Speaking on the Plateau State position of fourth on the list, the secretary to the state government and state coordinator of the task force says the state will go as far as denying violators of the COVID-19 protocols access to government facilities.
Beginning next week, you begin to see the governor signing executive orders. If you have no marks, there's a fine you will pay.
On school resumption on the 18th of January, the SGS said the date is not sacrosanct considering recent COVID-19 child mortality figures.
Disregard all those information that COVID-19 is not real. It is real.
He advised the public to comply with COVID-19 safety protocols to avoid further loss of lives. In Jos, Silvan's Lot, NTA News.
Plateau State Governor Simon Lalong has assented to anti-land grabbing, kidnapping and cultism bills passed into law by the State House of Assembly. Cameron Canning Ladoja reports.
The land grabbing, anti-kidnapping and cultism laws seek to address vices bedeviling the state with stiff penalties on offenders.
The bill prohibits forceful takeover of land, and a person who commits such an offense of land grabbing while armed with an offensive weapon or with any obnoxious chemical materials or uses violence on any person is liable on conviction to sentence of death.
Governor Lalong said the signing of the bills into law is for economic prosperity and peace of Plateau State.
On the new anti-kidnapping law, land grabbing, cultism law, it is definitely long overdue because of the increase in kidnapping and other violent crimes within the state.
He urged communities to rise up to the challenge of identifying and fishing criminals within their domain and also pass relevant information to security agencies for prompt action. In Jos, Ekemeren Kaneng Ladoja, NTA News.
We'll now take a commercial break. Network news continues thereafter.
Do you know that 35% of every girl child and women are raped on daily basis? Some are killed in the process, some take their lives in shame, others remain emotionally dead for life. It is sad. This culture is not ours, definitely not African. How did we allow bad culture to infiltrate and take over? Even if you lack fear for the law, what of fear of God? And you, why do you cover up rape acts when it happens? Remember, a problem shared is a problem half solved. Never cover any rape act because a rapist is a murderer. It could be you or your loved ones next. Women must be treated like the prize giant they are. Say no to rape.
To sports now, reactions trail Golden Eaglets Ayimba Games midweek. Kene Mapudike tells us more on Sports Update.